Hey, I'm on with Jacob Knotts. How are you, Jacob?
Doing good. How are you, Mike?
Doing great, man. I know Jacob through the Troy Rotary Club. You've been a member now for at least a year.
Yeah, it's about a year or so. I think it'll be a year here in October. So like 8, 9 months. We're in July here, so we're right through the thick of the summer.
Good. I'm excited to work with you on the public image team for the club, and we're going to talk today about best practices for promoting speakers. I know that this is part of your job responsibility as you work for the Boy Scouts. And by the way, the website for scouting, everybody, is michiganscouting.org. That's just the organization that Jacob works with. Um, People have a lot of problems with social media. They think just, I call them seagull posters, because you know what a seagull does. A seagull flies over, drops some stuff, and then flies away. And there's a real strategy and a real psychology behind posting. And we're going to have a peek at both the Troy Rotary Facebook page and the Troy Rotary website just to see what's working, what could be better. And you and I are going to do like a color commentary like they do on sports, okay?
Sounds great.
Okay, here we go, man. I'm going to share my screen. The first thing we're going to look at is the Troy Rotary Facebook page. And it has all of the bells and whistles you might normally see. What we hope is an attractive cover photo. This is the Troy Rotary Big Shots posing with General Secretary and now CEO of Rotary, John Huco, here in the middle. Of course, we're going to spend a lot of our energy today on what's called the timeline and how we're posting to promote events. And by the way, Jacob, of course, none of this is meant to make any particular club, particularly our club, look bad. We're just having a look in the mirror, seeing what we look like, and making decisions about how things can be better. So if we look at, in the tabs here, if we look at something like events, because a stranger coming to the page might say, well, let's see what this club's got going on. And we have one upcoming event. Is that a good idea to have only one event, Jacob, or should a vital happening club have more than one event on the calendar?
I would say that a very active club should definitely have more than one event. I would say, some clubs that probably have upwards of a dozen or more on there. I can think of a couple events we have coming up that we could even add right now if we wanted to. So we definitely need more than one event.
Yeah. Why do you suppose, and this is not a trick question, I'm just having some honest conversation with you, and I know that's what you're expecting from me. Why do you suppose a cool club like ours only has one event posted if in fact there are some booked? You mentioned there, you can think of a couple just off the top of your head that should be on here. Why aren't they?
Well, I think maybe, at some point there could be multiple things that have happened. I know right now we're kind of living in a strange world with this COVID-19 going on, and people are getting busy. People are learning to work from home and have a different lifestyle. So with that, life can get in the way, obviously. But on top of that, it could be multitude of other reasons. Could be someone kind of dropping the ball on Facebook per se. Maybe someone just not paying attention to that. They show up to the meetings every week and they forget about Facebook, and just naturally over time just don't forget to log in and don't really update the events. So that could be another cause for concern as well. So
Yeah.
I think you definitely need to be very involved with social media. That's one of the key aspects for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right on. I would add something to your great cogent comments, and that is that I don't think anybody in our club really owns this page. People contribute here and there. We've got like this patchwork of contributions to the Facebook page, but nobody really is in charge of it. Museums have something called a curator, right? Businesses have somebody called a quality control person. Restaurants have people called expediters. They're in charge of QC, quality control. We don't really have a person like this in the club currently, and I think this is an indicator that we need somebody like this. So one good way to get a bunch of events, everybody, onto the calendar is to just look at who the speakers are coming up. If you booked out a month, you've got 4 instant events.
Yeah.
Right, Jacob? And when you promote the speakers, there are a few key ingredients to doing it right. Let's have a look at what's on this event page for September 9th, what are you seeing, Jacob, that might be attractive for visitors? What looks like good practice here?
Well, what pops out to me is the picture. Obviously, you've got a good cover photo there of our speaker here,
Yeah.
and it's very attractive. You know, you instantly see his face. You have something to relate to, and then you have a great title, and you have the date. And I think those are, you know, the three biggest things that pop up right there. That's the first thing you see. Even when you just click on the link, you're seeing Adrian Tonin from Detroit's first 24-hour economy ambassador. So you're seeing what that event actually is. So, and then when you click on that link, you know, boom, you got the picture, boom, you got the title. So that's what pops out to me, at least.
Yeah, I think you're right on. Let's dig a little bit deeper, use a bigger shovel. You're correct that the photo is interesting. Why is the photo interesting? Because it's not, as you say, it's not just a regular headshot. Here's a guy with, he almost looks like he has vision. This is a high res photo. You can tell because of something called rack focus. The background is a little bit blurry. The front, the foreground, Adrian himself, very well defined. So this is a high quality photograph. And even though a person looking at it might not go, wow, that's really a high quality photograph, it is somehow more interesting than the average headshot. And that's what we're after here. So Rotarians, when you're booking speakers, try to get an above average headshot, because what you're really trying to do is get attention for your events. And good photographs do that. Also notice, and you called attention to it, Jacob, is his title is really unusual. I mean, if nothing else, he's the first 24-hour economy ambassador. That word alone is attractive to me. Also, this is the city of Detroit, everybody. It's not the city of Woodhaven or the city of Ferndale. Detroit is a comeback city right now. It's a hot, hot thing. And what the hell is a 24-hour economy ambassador? I'm really curious about this. And that's going to cause me to do things like click the registration link, or scroll down, or share it, or click going like I already have here. Anything else, Jacob?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. You know, I saw the picture and then I saw the title, and I'm like, just curious as to see more of who this guy is. What does he want to do? And what is he looking to do? So.
Okay, so let's look at some more ways that we can make this look like a happening thing. So this is, as we said, the event page. And the event page has its own timeline. A lot of people don't know this. And so you can post things just to this timeline. Let me see if I can get there again and show you. You probably know a lot of this stuff because you do it for the Boy Scouts. But this is an online event. And I can post things here to keep people excited about it. I can say, for example, Jacob, and I'm going to do this. I want to tag, because this will show up on your timeline. Jacob Knotts and I are going. Now, this is really just a bullshit post. Nobody cares if you and I are going. But this creates a look at me kind of a signal to everybody that's following this event. And if I post it right now, I've just added some energy. Look at what else we noticed. Now, I actually created this event over a week ago. And so far in our 50-member club, only 2 people are going and 2 people are interested. Let's see. Devankar's not even in our club. Dave Caruso's interested. Oh, no, these are for invites. Sorry. Devankar's not even in our club. So really only 2 or 3 club members have even shown interest in our own event. What do you think about that?
I think there definitely could be some more. Like, I really do.
So how do we get, because no one from the outside is going to come to this event if people from the club aren't even interested. How can we get people from our own club to show interest in our own events? What are some effective ways to do that?
I think just kind of get a hold of our club members, whether that's through Facebook or other various means of social media, or even just through word of mouth. And just kind of say, hey, are you going to this event? And if so, do you mind sharing it on Facebook when you get a chance?
So we could actually do that here. I mean, I could call these people individually. I could email them, but here's a clever way to do it. Are you interested in this event? And I'm doing it right in plain sight. Everybody can see that I'm doing this. And I can tag a couple people in the club. And what do you suppose will happen if I tag people in the club? Talk me through this process. What's going to happen?
So I guess if you tag these guys into the club, they're going to obviously get a notification. And then in addition, it's going to post on their wall if they have it set up correctly, so that you're kind of getting them interested. You're piquing their interest, and they're going to see a notification. They're going to say, hey, look, Rotary Club is seeing if I'm interested in this event. I didn't know this event was going on, perhaps. And so, boom, they know what's going on, and that's going to pique their interest. And you're essentially inviting them in a way.
Absolutely. I'm also indirectly asking them to like the page or say that they're going or say that they're interested. You wouldn't be surprised, based on the people I picked, very cool people, that they might even reply in real time. And by the end of this call, we can see an uptick in our activity here, more than 2 going. We can check that at the end of the call just to see.
Yeah, for sure. Let's check that out.
Okay. So looking down now, I can actually put some details in the event. And what we find in marketing is that most people don't fill this out at all, or they'll put in a lame sentence that doesn't really do anything. And what we want people to do is, a little typo there, what we want people to do is be extra interested in it. So we're going to put in extra content. In this case, you can see there are 5 paragraphs. That's 4 more paragraphs than most people put into it. Now, LinkedIn and websites use keywords behind the scenes to improve your SEO. It's not so true on Facebook, but it's still a good habit. If I pasted these 5 paragraphs into LinkedIn or to the website, I'm just going to paste them again into the details of the Facebook event page, and it can't hurt us, right? It can only help us.
Right.
Okay. Let's go back to the Facebook page and see what's happening over there, because this has to figure into the mix of all the other things that are going on the Facebook page. And I like to look at the numbers, because the numbers don't fib when you look at a Facebook page. So
okay.
Let's go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, okay.
Yep. So one of the things I look at is, what is our audience here? I mean, what is a realistic expectation for seeing something happen on this page? And you can see those numbers on the right side of the page. If the club's showing them. I thought we were showing them, but now I can't see them. You know what I'm talking about? How many people follow? Maybe you have to get to the actual timeline for that. Let's try that. This over here. So I clicked home. I'll bet that pulls it up. And if I scroll
might be under settings.
What's that?
Might be under settings.
Could be. There it is. There's what I want. Community. Now this is a really important number, and a lot of, so you can see that 1,200 people like this group. Now that's a pretty high number for a club. If you have your own club, anybody listening to this video, if you've got 1,200 likes for your Facebook, for your Rotary Club, good on you. That's pretty good. I know Troy Rotary has worked really hard to build an audience at this site. If your number is only 200, when you post to this page, the maximum number of people that will see your post is 200. This is a pretty good number to pull from. Well, what I've discovered, Jacob, is that if we could get some of these 1,200 people, specifically 50 of them, the 50 that are club members, by the way, not every member of Troy Rotary has liked the Troy Rotary Facebook page. What's up with that? Some people are not on Facebook, right?
Got to get those folks on there. But yeah, you're right. Some people aren't on Facebook.
Okay. So if we could get more of these 1,200 people to share about our event to their personal Facebook page, that would be a good thing. Now, how do we do that? Well, if we look down into the timeline, it's got to load here. Give me a second. There it is.
Gotta let it load.
That's right. So I'm not going to hunt for the Adrian post, but let's just look at this one. This is an interview I did with fellow Rotarian Melissa Ward on social media and best practices. It's a pretty good video, and she's in the business of social media marketing, so she's smarter than most people. I want to share this with people. So what I can do is share this to my peeps. Now, there is a little bit of a problem here in that some people that aren't a member of the Troy Rotary Club might not be able to see the content. But I'm okay with that. I'll explain to them, that. But if I wanted to share this link without, this is a cool trick. If I wanted to share this link without worrying whether people belong to the Troy Rotary Club and would be able to see it, if I click this globe, this time date stamp right here, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Watch this. See the URL is Troy Rotary?
Okay.
Right? Watch this. I'm going to go to this time date stamp and click that. It's going to take me to a specific URL. Hi, everybody. It's Angelo Caruso of the video. And look at the URL now.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a thing. That's cool.
So now what I can do is I can share this link not only to my personal Facebook page without worrying whether or not people belong to Troy Rotary. I can post this to my LinkedIn page.
That's cool.
I can post this to Twitter. And that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. On a Mac, I've got a shortcut key called Command-C. I just copied the link, right? Okay. And now I can go to Twitter or any account, and I can type in, this is going to be fun. And then I could, I could do other things to make it more interesting. It is a magnificent link, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
but actually, for Melissa's post, I probably want to put something like this. Great social media marketing tips. You'd click on that in your business, wouldn't you? And then, wow. And then if I click tweet, it has now gone out to my 9,000, 10,000 Twitter followers. Pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So on my clipboard right now, I can do the same thing in LinkedIn. I can do the same thing at other sites. So it's not a bad way to promote specific events outside the Facebook realm, which is really where all the action is. As I said earlier, the Troy Rotary Facebook group has 1,200 followers. There are 7 billion people in the world, right?
Right. That's a lot of people.
A couple million in Michigan, So I want to get to that bigger database if I can, and that's a really good way to do it. Okay, cool. Let's look at one more thing on Facebook before we go to the Troy Rotary website. This is a flyer this is a flyer for an event called the Lucky Luau that you and I are involved with promoting. And again, everybody does their very best when they're marketing and promoting, but sometimes we get a thing called feature creep. You have a remote control for your television. How many of those buttons do you understand?
Oh man, I mean, I don't know, the universal remote, I only understand like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, and which is like,
I gotta double check and look at it, if I want to understand the rest.
Yeah, it's called feature creep because they had all that real estate on the remote. They just filled it up with buttons, and most people don't bother to figure out what all the buttons do. Same thing on the computer. Most people only use about 17% of their computer. It's okay. Yeah. But it works against us when we're creating flyers. So let's check it out. Our Lucky Luau is almost here. Mark your calendar for August 1. Now, I'm pretty sure that smart people put this little flyer together. But let's look at some of the challenges here, because this is sometimes how we go about promoting speakers. We get feature creep. What do you notice about the flyer? And let's give some cred and some shout out to the people that put this together. You got a tiny URL, which is an easier thing to click. It's not overbearing.
Yeah.
And so you got a chance to go there and get some more information. Our exciting Lucky Luau, that's called the positive adjective. I recommend using a positive adjective when you're promoting speakers and events. There's something psychologically appealing about an exciting Lucky Luau, Jacob, versus a regular Lucky Luau. It also has a small call to action, actually 2. Mark your calendar and get more info and register. All of these announcements should have a CTA or a call to action. Let's put your critical eye to work on the flyer itself, which I cannot get all on one screen, but just talk to me about what's working for you and what's not.
So let's start off with the positive, all right? So what's working for me is I noticed that the event is right up front and center at the top of the page. You're seeing that this is the Lucky Luau. You're seeing a theme. You're seeing what it is. We have a cool little illustration with our leprechaun here, and he is obviously behind a tiki bar. So we can tell that this is kind of a St. Patrick's Day and luau themed event. So that's kind of our theme. That's kind of our character and where we're going with this.
Okay.
You see Rotary Club of Troy
One
right
second
there.
before we move
Oh,
on.
you want to go?
Jacob, before
Yeah,
you
go
move
ahead.
on, your eyes must be better than mine because I have seen a close-up version of this, and that's how I know it's a lucky leprechaun, but I can't quite tell from the size of the photo. Maybe the photo could be larger. I don't know. You could debate this. But we're going to see that that size issue comes up quite a bit here. Can you read this? I don't know how good your young eyes are.
I can read the nonprofit, but the raffle license can be a little tough for me. I have to kind of get in a little bit. I have seen the flyer several times, so I understand it. But
It
yeah,
does
I think
raise
for your first time looking at it, it could be challenging to see.
Yeah, this is common problem with people that do marketing is we try to get too much done in one fell swoop. Now they might be legally obligated to put the nonprofit tax ID number on. Does it need to be at the top? I don't know. Maybe they have specs for this. I know there are a lot of older people in Rotary that maybe can't see small fine print. This is the club's logo, and it's also fairly small for my money. Please continue with your review.
Yeah, so moving on there from the illustration, we then see, you know, the title of the event, the Lucky Luau. That is kind of one thing that I think I would fix there. We're missing the, it's not Lucky Luau, because someone sees that, they're going to say, Lucky Luau, what's that, you know? So I can add a little bit of criticism there. But we see the date. We see that it's been rescheduled, obviously, that the new date is August 1st from 5 to 9 p.m. A little bit of typo there with the PM there. Looks like one should be capitalized and the other should also be. Petrozulo Banquet Center, which is our location, and it has our address. And it also says that we'll be doing an online broadcast. So we can move on and continue reading. You'll see that you'll buy a $75 drawdown raffle ticket, and you can support 3 great charities and have a potential to win up to $5,000. And then below that, you are also able to bid on a silent auction item and get some great gifts. And then we move on to our sponsors. You can tell we have a lot of sponsors here. We have, it looks like the Boys and Girls Club of Troy, I would assume. Looks like Hope Network, Tryon, the Choice Group, and Dean Sellers of Ford. So one thing that notices to me is that this page is really crowded with information. There's a lot of information in there, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it can definitely, in terms of marketing, turn some people off if they're looking for something that's a nice, clean slate. So sometimes being more minimalist and downsizing the amount of information on your flyer can help out. To me, this isn't a terrible flyer, but there are definitely some improvements that we can make to it.
Yeah, let's talk about this. And not because of the luau, but because we sometimes use this same format to promote speakers. So we're still trying to stay on the promoting speakers concept. And we'll see
Right.
that some of these, I don't know, maybe they're not the best habits, keep us from having such a good turnout. I agree. This is a cluster here, way too much copy. And you have to ask why. Well, whoever put the flyer together must think it was important to have all this information. But is it important to have the address of the place here on the flyer when you're going to get that when you go to register on, down here? I mean, Troy's not a very big city. Let's assume you don't know where Petrozellos is, which is the worst case scenario. You're about to find out if you're going to register. But it's
Right.
It's not like it's in a foreign country and you have to figure out airfare. This is a pretty, I don't know if I would put the street address here. Online broadcast, fine. You could probably do the same thing with 4 letters, ZOOM. So I'm looking to reduce the number of characters. I'm looking to reduce the number of words. These are all probably necessary. I don't know, depends on the number of tickets sold. That's probably a foregone conclusion. Everybody kind of knows how raffles work.
Right.
But they probably have to put that in there as a disclaimer. Again, does it have to be here, or could it be in a finer print on the registration page? We'll save that debate for another time. These photos, what do you think, man? I know
I
that.
almost think it's not necessary per se. I mean, you talk about the Boys and Girls Club. Everybody knows the Boys and Girls Clubs. Everybody recognizes that. And in addition, I would almost say, kind of delete the pictures and just go with the logos. Boys and Girls Club especially, they have a symbol, they have a logo there that people can recognize with. So to me, the pictures are kind of taking up more room. And instead of putting in those additional pictures, why don't we blow up their logos and organization titles a little bit so people have something else to look at, and really relate to?
If I worked at, and I don't know why I know why there's two organizations called Hope, but it looks redundant to the untrained eye of somebody that doesn't know. I know what both of these Hopes are about. And if I worked at this Hope, I might be a little annoyed that nobody can see my logo. I'd even be more annoyed maybe if I worked at Tryon and nobody could read my slogan. So when we talk about eliminating the photographs, which by the way, Jacob, they might be those high-res photographs that we talked about, but I can't tell.
Yeah.
When we talk about doing away with these, we wouldn't do it just to do away with them. We would do it if it would improve the overall look of the ad. And I think we're agreeing here that by doing away with the logos, we can do a better job for our sponsors. We can do a better job for the beneficiaries of the event, these three.
Yeah, I agree. And I think to touch on that one last little bit here, one tidbit, just so you know, I'm sure you are, Michael, but I'm looking at this on a desktop screen. So my screen is fairly large. I can make out what those logos are for. I can make out what the titles of the groups are. But if I'm looking at it on my smartphone, if you're looking at it on your smartphone, it's going to be a lot harder for some folks, especially some folks who might have vision impairments or might wear glasses like me, who can't really read very well. It's going to be a lot harder for them to look at it on this little screen versus a big monitor, 27-inch monitor that's right in front of my face.
And that's why I like numbers so much. What percentage of the people that see this are going to be looking on this size screen? I'm on a MacBook Air, which is the screen is half the size of the screen that you're using. So you're on the best screen, but people won't say, well, I need to look at this on a bigger screen. Let me do that some other time and I'll register for the event then. You just lose them. You're very lucky if people will be that patient trying to find the right screen to look at your damn ad. So this is
you definitely are.
What's that?
Oh, I was just saying, you definitely will be very fortunate.
Yeah. What's this thing called? It's a QR code. Do you ever use them?
That is a QR code. I've never really used them. I've used them occasionally at the grocery stores. I do know they link you to a certain web page. But there's some folks that might use those out there.
Some? How many? What percentage?
I have no idea. I'm not a big user of them, to be honest, but it's funny you mentioned that because I did just go out and buy my annual Michigan fishing license, and they're just starting to put QR codes on the actual licenses. And that's the first time I've ever seen it. So I do know they're growing in popularity and they're getting bigger and bigger.
Well, QR codes are useful in certain situations. I don't think they've taken off the way people hope they would. The reason they're popular in the fish and game business is because when the game warden comes over to check your license, he doesn't have a computer that he can look you up on. But if he can scan the QR code on your license, he can tell almost instantly through an app whether you're legit. Now, here's the $1 million question. Does a person on a smartphone or a MacBook Air or you today, you going to click that QR code or you going to click something else? Maybe this link. And I'm going to bet right now on this date in history, 95% of the people are going to click this link. Very few are going to click this. Now, I don't know that I'm right about this, but these are the kinds of conversations where we ask these questions. Okay, one more thing about this, and then we're going to look at the website quickly. This is a PDF. Well, I guess it couldn't be a PDF if it's here. It must be a JPEG that somebody converted to a JPEG, and I like this trick. So When you create it initially, you don't create it as a JPEG, you create it as a PDF. And then you can use your editor to convert it to a JPEG, which then allows you to push it out on social because you can't
Okay.
share PDFs that way. The problem, of course, is, again, what looks good in a PDF doesn't always look good in a JPEG, as we're finding out.
Right.
Okay, cool. Let's move over to the website and see how we're promoting speakers there. And again, none of this is to make anybody, holy crap. Oh, did you see that? Where we just came in?
No, I didn't really get a chance to move very quickly.
Back to the slider. So, you know, we were talking about clutter a minute ago and how it can work against you. That's the one right there.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Holy crap. And my favorite part is, since this is an active slider, I only have like 4 seconds to, you know, to get all that information. Otherwise, I'm overwhelmed.
Right.
This I can get. Congratulations, Robert Webster, 50 years in Troy Rotary. Oh my, you know, I just had a seizure.
Yeah. You okay, Mike?
And what's interesting is if you could freeze frame that slider long enough to look down below, you're going to get, again, a double barrel shot of the Lucky Luau, because there's that clutter problem again. It's just too much, man.
Right.
And I don't even know if this is clickable. What's this give you? All right, so that's going to take you to the constant contact registration page. And I don't know. For my money, it's cluttered again. At least
I would almost say we should probably move the sponsors down towards the bottom on this webpage, because we've already seen those sponsors front and center on the past 2 links we've clicked on. So, you know, we know who's sponsoring our event, but, you know, if we want to get more information, we want to get into the nitty and gritty, as I like to call it, see what the address is, see what the time and stuff. That's what folks are probably going to be interested in, right, Michael?
Yeah, you could argue that. I think the best way to check it is to test it and ask a few people. But,
Okay.
you know, maybe the sponsors, maybe there's a promise to the sponsors that we put them at the top. But we have that tiny Lucky Luau logo again. It's just so hard to figure out what's going on here. I fear sometimes that we lose attention. And little typo here with the letter K, what's that about? So again, none of this is meant to be critical. We're going to do other campaigns after this. And Troy Rotary, by the way, happens to raise a lot of money year over year in these types of fundraisers. So I'm not being critical at all of the quality of our, well, what am I saying? I'm not being critical of in a mean way. I'm just trying to help us, you know, raise the nutrition of the ads a bit. Okay, back to the homepage and the speakers. So we have the speakers, and this is a Club Runner page, everybody. So if you're using DACDB, which is the other popular database in Rotary, that's cool. They both function kind of the same way. You have these templates, and you can move the speaker template up into the left corner like the webmaster has done for our page. So there's Brenda Meller. We saw her in the slider up above. And what are you going to get? I always like to tell people, what are they going to get from the speaker? We're going to get to unlock the power of LinkedIn with Brenda. Is that interesting, Jacob?
Sounds very interesting to me. I use LinkedIn a lot, and, you know, that just, you know, piques my interest right there. You know, how am I going to unlock the power with my LinkedIn page?
Okay, cool. This says speakers, so I'm going to expect to see the name of the speaker at every event. This says a vision for clean water. Water problems of the Navajo Nation. Who's the speaker?
That's a good question.
So we already broke our format, right? We broke our promise to the viewer that we would tell them who the speakers are. We don't tell them who the speaker is. And then there's our friend Adrian. Now today is July 6th, and our very next speaker is there, but we don't apparently have another speaker, and we don't know who it is on that date, till July 29. Then we have no speakers in August. And then finally, we have another one on September 9. Does this look like a club that's taking care of business to you?
This does not. I have to admit, you know, there's, you know, 3-4 weeks that we're going without speakers, it looks like.
Yeah. And here's my favorite part. I'm pretty sure we have speakers that just haven't been announced, or we're waiting on. So, of course, we're going to at some point be waiting on the bio and the headshot and the title of the program. But meanwhile, we could put in placeholders here really easily that say TBA, or here's the name of the speaker, the title of the program, TBA, to be announced, right? And not for nothing, everybody, if you're just tuning in or just focusing now, this is my club that I'm talking about. And I'm trying to help my club just like Jacob is. And you're probably trying to help your Rotary club. So you may want to do this type of a survey with your club to figure things out. This is interesting to me. This is upcoming events. Speakers seem like they could be upcoming events, but maybe we want to categorize them as different. I don't know. But I don't know that we need the redundancy over here. This seems like these would be non-speaker events. What do you think?
I would agree. Excuse me. I would agree. I would have kind of our speakers in one clear section and then have our non-speaker events in one clear section as well. You know, two sections that are separate from each other. That would make it easier and more organized for me to be able to understand and see, hey, you know, if we have this speaker going on next Wednesday, I already know that, you know. But what else is out there that I can get involved in or that I can participate in?
Right. By the way, let's check. We don't have to guess. Let's view the entire list. There's Brenda. There's July 29, and there's September 9. And there's a TBA for October. So I think if we really want to look like a happening club, we're going to have to start populating these a little bit earlier in the game. And if that means getting the program chair to get on the stick and get that information from the speakers, I'm not quite sure. It's going to mean sometimes it's situational getting that information. I never wait for a headshot, everybody, from a speaker. I will just download. I would just do either a Google image search, Jacob, or I would go to that person's Facebook page if I can find them easily on Facebook, and I can download whatever photo I want.
Wow, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so I don't wait for the headshot because sometimes speakers, I'm a speaker myself, sometimes speakers are lazy and they have other things going on and they're like, can't you do a Google image search and find it yourself? And I'm like, do it.
Makes sense. I would do the same thing. I'm like, hey, Michael, can't you just Google my LinkedIn picture? Just use that one.
And same thing with bio, you know, if you don't think of enough of yourself as a speaker to send me your bio, that's not going to hurt my promotion, man. I'm going to make up something about you. I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to have my own, I'm going to have a go at getting at least a sentence with positive adjectives into that description so I can start getting people excited. And Jacob, you and I are going to be working on the program committee with Troy Rotary. We're going to be putting all of these ideas into effect. And we're going to start working with what I call 100-day campaigns, because you've got to light a lot of grass fires in order to get 50 people to an online Zoom meeting or 100 people to a physical event. And that means they've got to hear from you a number of times. I have an old saying I've been using for a long time that McDonald's has to issue 7.5 impressions. I made that number up. 7.5 impressions to get you to buy an Egg McMuffin. And if I'm no better at marketing than McDonald's, I'm going to have to at least tell you about Adrian Tonone 7.5 times before you register for our event. So you and I are going to kind of like double team and make sure that those impressions are being made, those grass fires are being started, so that by the time we get to Adrian's date, we have a big bonfire that we're looking at.
That's awesome.
And you can use these same techniques in promoting scouting, correct?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So we can use these same techniques and promote and scout it through our scouting events. And we, in fact, do that, you know, just on a, you know, I would say maybe not, if not a daily basis, I would say like a weekly basis. We're very into it to promote events at least 6 months out. So what we do is we'll start our heavy promotions 6 months out, but we're even planning for our events like a year, sometimes a year and a half out. You know, and so through that, you know, not just, you know, planning the logistics, but getting that marketing ready, getting our marketing request out. You know, there's a lot of different things that go into it, planning what this event's going to be. So even just relating to Troy Rotary, if we're going to have a speaker, you know, getting a hold of that speaker plenty of time in advance and keeping track of that speaker. So if I have Bill coming in for a presentation here, don't just kind of contact him a year in advance and leave him in the blue after that. Stay in touch with Phil. A week beforehand, say, hey, are you still good with this date? Is there anything coming up that, do we have to reschedule? Because you are going to have to reschedule. Things will come up. Just kind of keep being prepared is what we like to say. So, yeah, so we do a lot of promotion.
For sure. I'm too small to have played basketball in school, but there's a saying in basketball, nothing happens until you put the ball in play. And then surprising things happen when you put the ball in play. When you and I start posting about a great speaker that's coming to town, somebody that we're not counting on is going to post a comment, oh, Adrian's a great speaker or such a nice person. And now we're getting those third-party endorsements that actually increase that energy, increase the attention toward the event. So that's another benefit, I think, of these long campaigns where people are hearing about your event via email, the major social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, if you can do it, and also the website. By the way, I have scheduled an interview. I'm trying to schedule an interview with Adrian so that I can actually talk with him one-on-one, just like this, about his job. And then we'll post a highlight of that interview to the Troy Rotary Facebook page. I can post it on my personal page. You can post it and say, look what an interesting guy this is. You want to hear his whole talk. He's coming to speak to Troy Rotary on such and such a date. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, you got my interest peaked there. I can tell you that for sure. So, and in fact, I might just share it on Facebook.
I love it. Listen, I want to thank you for all you do for Troy Rotary. I've always been impressed with you as a young man who feels so strongly about service. I didn't join Rotary till much, much later in life. You're in at a very young age. How old are you, sir?
I'm 25 years of age.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I can't wait to work with you as we promote speakers for Troy Rotary and beyond. Thanks for all you do, Jacob.
Thank you for having me, Michael. I appreciate it.
If you want to know more about Jacob's scouting and how they're promoting it online, these are the Boys and Girl Scouts now these days, ladies and gentlemen. Go to www.michiganscouting.org. Thanks again, Jacob.
Thank you for having me.